I don't read the newspaper. Because it's garbage. And the editor that let it come out is garbage.
It's Division I football! Go play intramurals, brother. Go play intramurals.
But, you know, I am going to try, and there will be some people inconvenienced. And if it happens to be their fat little girlfriends, too bad.
Twitter, radio.
Yeah, I'd give a rat's ass about Twitter.
All right, welcome on back to the Jake and Bake. It's whatever week it is. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter at The Bake is Here for myself, and at Jake Cart on Twitter for Jake. He tweets out his picks. Doesn't like to ruffle feathers like I do as much. But speaking of ruffling feathers, it's a second straight week that I was able to do that. And Jake, so when's the last time that you remember Oklahoma State being in the top 10 and OU not even being ranked?
That's a good question. I think in 2011, there might have been a point where we were top 10 and OU was either unranked or they were really like somewhere down at the bottom. I mean, I can't remember that. I mean, it's been crazy. I mean, this whole year, the whole thing with OU is just insane. I mean, there's so many stats that just like jump out right out the gate at Iowa State. And, you know, I think the thing is that when you look at that game, normally that game was going to be a tough game regardless of the pandemic and it being 2020 and all this stuff. Like it's on the road at Ames, and they wore the black jerseys. Like they did them dirty. Like bringing out the second I saw the black jerseys, I was like, "Oh no! Like this is gonna be a show." Like,
yeah,
So I the last time Iowa State won in Ames, like 1960. The last time OU lost back-to-back games was like
1999. Yep.
Yeah, like just craziness. I mean,
yeah, let's get into that. I mean, obviously we're talking about it, but OU, I mean, what an abysmal year. I mean, last week it was like, it was not ours. I'm rooting against OU just because their fans are fucking delusional. And I mean, it's nice to see people like that have to get brought back down to reality sometimes. And you know what? That's coming from someone that's been there. I'm an Ohio State fan. How many times? I mean, over the last, 6 years, 7, 8 years, we've had horrible losses in the playoffs. We got shut out by Oregon. That was embarrassing. And you know what? You got to take those L's when they come, and you got to be realistic. And these fans they're not realistic. They're like, oh yeah, we knew this was going to happen this year. We planned on this. No, you didn't. You went into the season thinking that you guys were contending for a national championship, and now you're not even contending. You might be contending for mid Big 12 conference. You know, you might be a mid tier. Right now, you're sitting at the bottom. You're 0-2 in the Big 12. I mean, they're not realistic. And then they just blow it off like, oh, it's not even a real season. Well, it was a real season going into the year when you said you were going to win the Natty. So, I mean, it's just, I like to see fans like that get brought back down to reality sometimes. And so last week when K-State beat them, it was a somewhat big surprise. I mean, it's the second year in a row that they lost to K-State, so kind of not surprising. Now it's almost tradition for them. They're turning it into a tradition. We'll have to see if they turn in losing into a weekly tradition here this season. I kind of hope they do, because it's not going to be a tough week, three weeks, because they got, it's just coming up. They got the Red River Showdown. Yeah. And so they could very easily not just go back-to-back losses for the first time since 1999, so 20 plus years, but they could go back-to-back losses very easily. Right now, Texas is a plus 2.5 dog against them, and I don't like to do picks early because we save them till the end, but that's one of my picks. Texas plus 2.5 is my pick for one of my picks this week, because
you almost have to take them.
You have to. I mean, Texas, yeah, they're not doing too great. They lost to who'd they lose to? TCU. They lost to TCU. I mean, they're not looking too hot, but OU definitely ain't looking hot, especially if Rodney Perkins doesn't play. If he doesn't play, that still changes that defense, because that defense is abysmal, and he's probably their best defender. And so him not playing obviously hurts, but he's not the sole piece.
Yeah. I think the thing is, dude, is like you know, I mean, and here's the thing: is Texas has problems too. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
they
number
almost
one is their head coach.
Yeah. Well, it's all of it. Like, the thing is with Texas, dude, is like Texas defense is abysmal. Like, their offense is all right, but they struggle a lot. Like, they came out absolutely flat both games in a row. And, the thing is like that they should have lost to Texas Tech. They did lose to TCU. So, like, OU and Texas both should be 1-2 in this game. And now you're sitting here going like, oh, I don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, I think it's going to be a great game. I mean, I think with OU, it's the thing of like the talent is there. The coaching is kind of like all over the place. I think, dude, here's the OU's biggest problems. And I'm giving you this. I'm giving you freebies here, OU. I don't know why. I'm letting you in on the secret, but the secret is, dude, is like,
all right, I'll blank this out. Beep.
Yeah. The offensive line, dude, is just not doing as good as it normally does, which affects your run game because you don't really have the staple running backs. Like, Pledger's good, but after Pledger, it starts going downhill real fast. And so OU traditionally was, with that Lincoln offense, was 5 yards a carry every time. And that run game cemented the whole rest of the offensive crazy spread, all the crazy stuff that they were doing. And when your run game falls apart, dude, it all falls apart. And like, you can't run the ball. Their offensive line's struggling. Rambo's supposed to be their best receiver. He's not doing well. Like, their whole core, like, who's been playing the best? Drake Stoops? I mean, I don't really know. Like, I guess, Rambo, but he's supposed to be the number one guy. He's supposed to be the Tylan Wallace, he's supposed to be the best dude, and he's just not playing well. And then Radler, he's young, inexperienced, and they put a lot of pressure on him, and he's crumbled twice.
Yeah, I mean, he's had both the games that they've lost, because they're basically 0-2. That first game, you have to throw it away now. At this point, after the last 2 weeks, you have to throw that game against Missouri State out the window, because it just doesn't matter. It wasn't real. They played I don't even know what level Missouri State is, but them versus K-State and versus Iowa State, they're just not that as good as that week one when they played a nobody. And so you had to throw that out the window. They're basically 0-2.
Yeah.
They're basically 0-2.
Well, bro, here's the real truth. The real freebie secret sauce of what is really occurring is, dude, it's Alex Grinch, dude. So the thing is with Alex Grinch, right, is for 2 years he's been preaching like turnover, win the turnover battle, strip, like every time they go to practice, they have the little dummies, they strip the ball, and they've been stripping, and they haven't won the turnover battle once in 2 years. And he's going to press conferences saying one thing and doing a different thing. And the thing is, dude, is that, yeah, turnovers and everything are a big key part of being good. But in reality, what you're doing is you're quitting on your defense. You're basically saying we have to use cheap tactics to win. Can't just be a good defense. We have to get turnovers to make us look better. And when you practice stripping every day, what it's going to do is erode your tackling. So, like, the thing is that's what killed OU's defense, is that they try to strip every play and you miss tackles in open field, and that's going to destroy you. And that's why, I know from firsthand experience with Oklahoma State, is a statement that I never thought I'd say in my life, is OSU's defense is top 6 in the country right now. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, I remember like Sunday, you had seen that stat, and you were just like, dude, they're like top 5 in the nation, like, stats wise. Yeah,
it's insane. Well, and the key part is we are very disciplined and tackle really well in open field. And that's the biggest thing, dude, is that it's not getting turnovers or anything. It's just getting stopped straight out.
Yeah.
You throw a little swing pass and you tackle an open field, and it's, 1st and 10, 2nd and 8, 3rd and 4, and then you punt. And
Yeah,
the thing with OU is they try to strip too much. They get a broken tackle, and they take it 12 yards.
And earlier I was going to make a point that I kind of lost my train of thought just because I thought about OU basically being 0-2 so much that I lost what I was going to say. But what I wanted to say was Spencer Rattler has had good first halves against K-State and Iowa State, almost to the point where, like, if you just watch the first half, you would think, all right, OU won both these games. But once that halftime happens, it's almost like OU is forgetting that the other team also gets to make adjustments, and they just don't. And OU just doesn't make any adjustments. And so K-State, Iowa State made the adjustments they need to. K-State came out and had 24 unanswered points to win the game. Iowa State came out and they won the second half. I mean, Spencer Rattler, at the end of the day, and I think both fourth quarters had multiple opportunities to make a drive or secure the lead or make the comeback, whatever it was. He had many opportunities to put OU back in the driver's seat, and he just didn't get it done. He didn't execute the plays that he needed to make and had turnovers. And so, I mean, I get it. Spencer Rattler's young. He's a freshman. I get it. It's fine. But at the end of the day, when you put your coach on a pedestal of being the greatest quarterback coach, I think some of them say ever, but at least they're saying he's the greatest quarterback coach right now. He's got the best quarterback system. Well, I mean, obviously he doesn't. He needs those transfer quarterbacks. He needs them. I'm going to put a meme up in here in post probably, but he doesn't have these quarterbacks. He doesn't have the quarterback that has the skills that fits his style. Spencer Rattler just isn't good yet. He's just not good yet. I think he could be, but he's just not good yet, Yeah.
So he shows glimpses of it. He's got a quick release and everything, but I mean, dude, anytime you lean on a true freshman like that, like it's disaster.
Especially when the run game's not doing good. Like they got a multitude of issues, and I think Lincoln Riley should still be and he hasn't won a game since I put him on the hot seat. Ever since I put him on the hot seat, he's lost
this week. Then oh my gosh,
dude! I swear, if he starts getting on the hot seat, I want full fucking credit, and people better not be mad at me because, listen, he should be. He's not supposed to be losing these games. It's different if K-State loses 2 or 3 straight because they're just expected to. You're OU. You're supposed to not lose a game until the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like that's when you guys lose, not during the regular season.
Yeah.
And so they're just delusional. Speaking of delusional, I want to get your opinion. Who's the most delusional fan base in the Big 12? Texas or OU? Because at the end of the day, OU, they always think that they're the best, but Texas always thinks they're back, and they've never been back. Never.
That's true. I mean, most delusional fan base. I would probably say that's so tough. OU, Texas are so close, but like they really are. Like they're neck and neck. I mean, it's just because of different circumstances. I think Texas is delusional because they're not back. Is that how? There's no explanation. I mean, it's like the K-State loss. Like you can explain Iowa State. Like Iowa State's a good team. They wore the black uniforms. And like it's one thing. But
which a teaser. We're going to be ranking uniforms here in the future, so stick around and be on the lookout for that.
But the thing about Texas is there's no explanation of why your defense is that bad. There's no explanation
why your whole team's that bad.
Like it's
Texas.
I mean, here's the thing, right? Where Texas gets their brownie points is that I think there's 6 official teams that consider Texas a rival. So, it's one of those things of when you go and play Texas Tech and you play TCU and you play Baylor and all those teams in Texas, like all those teams, they consider you a rival. So it's like Texas has got 5-6 rivalry games on their schedule every year. And that's just like so hard to overcome. And all those dudes are giving you their best shot.
But it's like I said this last year when like last season when we were doing the Jake and Bake show. I said that I think there's only a handful of coaches that could bring Texas back. It's going to be Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney, Urban Meyer. That's it. Those are the only coach. Maybe Ed O if he ever left LSU, but I don't know. I don't know if he would leave. He doesn't need to leave LSU.
Well, but see, here's the thing about Ed O, right? Is Ed O is kind of like a Mike Gundy, and it's one of those things.
That's disrespectful. Ed O has a national title.
Well, yeah, at LSU.
Yeah. I mean, he still got it.
Yeah, I mean, if Mike Gundy goes to Alabama, how many championships do you think he would win?
0?
Absolutely not, dude. There's no way. He'd probably win. He'd probably have 6.
6?
But,
Saban don't even have 6.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just joking. But, the thing is, dude, is like Ed O has been a bunch of places and was never really that successful until he got to his alma mater. And his alma mater changed. Like, he just wants LSU to do so well, so bad. Like,
Well, he's just got that. He's got that vibe. He's got he is Go Tigers.
But
he is Go Tigers.
In contrast, if you look at, really the one out of that is Urban Meyer. Urban is the only person out of that group because even Nick Saban struggled at Miami and Dabo struggled for a long time to get Clemson to where they are. I think Dabo is is number 2 in that list, but number 1 is Urban.
Yeah, he wins everywhere he goes.
Yeah, I've never seen Urban anywhere where he did bad. Ever.
Yeah. Well, he's just the best coach there is. He's just the best. And yeah, he has health problems every 5 years. And that's okay. I have health problems every 5 years too. Sometimes I want to sleep in longer.
Hey,
but
whatever works out for you.
But I don't think Texas, they have too many issues. I don't know what it is that they got to fix, but they tried Charlie Strong. They're trying Tom Herman. It just ain't, none of it's working. None of them's the right fit. I don't know how long Tom Herman has. How long does Tom Herman have left there? How long?
This year?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is he on the hot seat? I think so. I think he should have been on the hot seat the day they signed his contract. And so,
yeah,
but we'll move on from them. Let's talk a little bit. Auburn, Georgia. Georgia blew Auburn out of the water, and you took Auburn.
Yeah,
you took Auburn, and you did not come close to covering that. Georgia looks real. Florida looks real. But you know what? And this comes back to the Big 12, I guess. We'll come back to Oklahoma State. Some people are trying to knock Oklahoma State for not really having any good wins. You beat Tulsa, where their only loss is you guys. They beat number 11 UCF, who, they're UCF, but they're number 11. You got fucking North Carolina at number 12. I don't know how the ranking system's weird this year. It's so weird. So I don't know. Tulsa is a decent team. You guys are probably leading the way for the Big 12. You guys are in the driver's seat. You win out, you win the Big 12, and you probably get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right, Jake? Jake, I think I proposed this idea to you. Are you fully in this year? You're undefeated, playoff potential. You guys are going to the playoffs. Yes or no? Need a yes or no, Jake. No whipping around it.
Yes.
All right.
Here's the thing is, it's one of those things of, it's like what has probably been said to Gundy is like, dude, there is no better time. Like, if you're going to win, you got to win now. Like, when everybody's kind of down and out, the Pac-12, like, they're not getting in with 7 games in a weird, like, they're like starting their season in December or whatever.
November 7th.
Yeah, it's insane. And then,
which we're almost like we're a little over 2 weeks away from
Big Ten coming back.
The boys.
So see, here's the thing, right? Is with Oklahoma State, like, even though OU is playing terrible, Oklahoma State and Bedlam historically has been horrible as favorites. So that game kind of scares me. And then, maybe a Baylor or an Iowa State or Kansas State down the road, maybe some trap game or something that's kind of, but at the end of the day, like, if you went out here's my scenario. Okay, is that Florida is playing super fucking well.
So good.
Like they might be one of, if not the best offense in the country.
I mean, they're number
defense-
3 or number 4.
Yeah,
They're number
their
4.
defense
So
is rolling. That Florida Georgia game is going to be insane to basically do who's going to win the East and then play Bama in the SEC title. And so my thing that's scary is that if Bama or Georgia / Florida get in, then Clemson's getting in. Then it's going to be down to Oklahoma State, Ohio State. And it's like, if Ohio State's 7-0 and Oklahoma State's 10-0, then we are going to probably be in trouble because most people are going to look at that regardless of, what happens. And they're going to say, oh, well, Ohio State's the better team no matter what.
Like just eye test. They'll just rely on the eye test. I think that's why the committee put that, stipulation into that like ranking system is they just need to put the 4 best teams. If one of the best teams has a loss or, in this case, not as many games and say 10 or 7 or 8 or whatever it is, if they can rely on the eye test and just be like, look, Ohio State is better, then they're just going to put Ohio State in. But I think, the best case scenario for you guys is to have Georgia and Florida eat one of another alive, have someone upset Florida or Georgia, have someone upset Bama, which I think could actually happen this year. It wasn't A&M. Let me see. I'm going to pull up Bama's schedule while I talk. But, you guys need everything to go your way, but you're also just need to do your own. Like, you guys just need to stay in your lane.
Focus on what we're doing.
Just do you. They need to get the season out of the, each game, each week, just get by. And if you get by, then there's the debate. Then you get to the debate. But until then, you just need to get there. You got to get to the debate before you can argue. Let me see.
Yeah, I think, dude, here's the thing about Bama is I think Bama is in a weird situation, like a Tua situation.
They're playing Ole Miss this weekend.
Yeah.
That could be a trap game.
Yeah.
Doubt it. Yeah. It's going to go Ole Miss, Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi State, LSU, Kentucky, Auburn, Arkansas, which Arkansas could do it. They just beat Mississippi State.
Oh. I mean, they played Georgia, so there you go.
Yeah, Georgia could actually do it.
Georgia plays Bama and Florida.
Yeah, so if Georgia beats Bama, Georgia loses to if Georgia beats Bama, then Georgia loses to Florida, and then Florida loses to Bama. Wow. We'll have a real controversy from the SEC. They might just put them all in there. I actually also think that they should extend the playoffs this year. I think they should make it 6 teams. Why don't they just do that? That would actually be a really cool selection Sunday or whatever they're calling it these days. Is if they just announce like, oh, hey, by the way, the 5th and 6th teams are also going to play some sort of wild card thing. They'll play against the 3 and 4, and whoever wins that gets in. And so that would actually be really cool. That'd be a really cool surprise.
Yeah, you just give the 1 and 2 a bye. Basically.
But yeah, so Georgia's going to end up playing, like I said, they'll play Tennessee this weekend, then Bama, Kentucky, Florida, Missouri, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Vanderbilt. So really, you need Georgia to beat Bama, lose to Florida, and then Florida to lose to Bama in the SEC championship game, ideally, if that's all how it played out. Because then each of them would have 1 loss, and then one of them would have 2, and then Bama and Florida or Bama and Georgia would be playing each other, and they'll just knock each other out. So then it would probably ideally be 1 SEC team that you'd have to compete with. So then it still could be Clemson, Bama, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, It still could be that.
See,
you get the 4 seed, you're still fucked because you're playing like Clemson or Ohio State or Bama or something. No matter what, you just got to get
what you're playing them anyway.
Yeah, but you got to get there. You got to get there.
Getting in is the big thing, and I think this.
And I think you guys could. I think this is the year that you guys have a legit shot because, like you said, everything's down.
Yeah, I think the thing is, dude, is not that. I think Bama needs to go undefeated, and Florida and Georgia are going to both have to have 2 losses. That is.
You think that's best case?
Yeah, I think that's an easier route because then you can sit there and say, well, I'm going to put an undefeated or a 1-loss Oklahoma State team over a 2-loss Florida or a 2-loss Georgia.
Yeah.
Because the thing is one of them's getting in. Like it's almost guaranteed. It's like the SEC Invitational. Like, I mean, so you better just have one of them go undefeated and the other two just.
Yeah, and so and then just to kind of move on and a hard segue, you kind of called it last week. You kind of called something. We got talking about Mike Leach and the fact that he's going to beat the teams that he shouldn't beat, and he's going to lose to the teams that he shouldn't. And they did just that. They lost to a team that hasn't won an SEC conference game since 2017. I think it's since week 5 of 2017 in Arkansas. Mississippi State losing to Arkansas, that's just sad. I mean, but like you said, you called it. Mike Leach is going to lose the games that he shouldn't lose. Yeah,
the one thing, dude, that I've really learned in betting is, you know, there's always the Boise State thing back in the day. I've never bet against Boise State.
Yep.
The other thing is, dude, is never take Mike Leach in games and throw away games because he somehow figures that away. I mean, dude, if you were teaching a class on Mike Leach, like Mike Leach 101, it's that thing is Mike Leach is going to beat a great team that he's not ever supposed to beat, but he's also going to lose to teams that he should never lose to.
Yeah.
And it's all because of the system and adjustments and everything like that. Like, he makes all his adjustments in practice. He don't make them in the game. Like, he has the system. He runs the system. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, real bad.
So, we'll move on from college football, but yeah, I mean, Mike Leach, it's sad to see him go down in his second SEC game, first one after winning against LSU, which was kind of not, it wasn't unexpected, but it wasn't expected. I mean, LSU is just not the same team they were 8 months ago when they won the title, or 9 months ago, however long ago it was. But we'll move on into NFL, and there's not really much, but I just want to touch on the fact that it's one of the best things is when OU loses and the Cowboys lose, and then you have fans that are, you know, OU fans that are Cowboys fans. It's just the best. It makes for a great weekend. I'll just say that. Yeah. But there's a trash bowl coming up. The Giants play the Cowboys, and I hope they tie. I hope they tie 0-0 because it's just an abysmal, that whole division. The NFC East is a trash bucket. But I'm going to circle the wagon this season. Since the Giants are down, I do ride with my team when they're down, but I want something to root for and someone to cheer for, so I might as well cheer for. I'm going to circle the wagon and join the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to root for the Bills this year and hope they have a good season. They're 4-0 right now. Josh Allen is looking like an MVP candidate. You know, he's at least going to be in the discussion if he continues the season the way he's going right now. I mean, he's clutch. He's tough. He's just getting it done. The Bills up there are really doing something special. Maybe not special, but, you know, special is 4 Super Bowls in a row and not winning one. So we'll leave it at that. There's not really much going on. I mean, in the NFL, they're kind of getting into the crunch time in terms of they're having postponements with Corona. They're having issues with it. Having, you know, players test, and then all of a sudden, you know, the Titans are looking at a second straight week of postponing their game, which actually they play the Bills this weekend. They're looking at a second straight. They might be postponing for a second straight week. I had to check it, but nothing's been confirmed yet in terms of postponing this weekend's game, but they postponed last week's. And so it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's just how it is. That's going to happen this season. We're looking at the NHL just announced. They did their draft the other night. They just announced the start of their next season. It's going to be January 1st, I believe. And so the NBA, which we'll get into here in a little bit, the NBA is wrapping up their playoffs. It's Game 5. We'll just get into it right now. It's Game 5 tonight. If the Lakers close it out, they'll win. They'll win the title. But if they don't, it'll just continue, obviously. But they're almost done. And so who knows? Are they going to start at the same NHL is? I mean, they usually do start around the same time. So it might be it might be like the second or third week in January. But I expect them to start back up here pretty soon too. But are they going to do a bubble again? I don't know. I don't think so. I doubt it. And so it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, the NFL, I mean, that's what they're dealing with right now. And college is a little bit too. I don't think anyone's postponed Oh, UAB and Rice are postponed, but that's probably just because they're like, hey, like we both suck. Let's just not play.
Well, college football has so many teams that you're gonna get postponements somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And same with the NFL. It was almost expected. It was just a matter of like when's the first postponement going to happen, and it was this past weekend. So that's that. But we'll get into the NBA. The NBA.
Yeah. Which I will say, dude, the thing about the NBA is, making on your last point, is that I remember, dude, a lot of people thought that we wouldn't get to this point. Like, what happens if Giannis and all those people get COVID and postpone all this stuff? Like, we made it. Like, hey, we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
It's not a big deal if we have to postpone tonight. It's not that. I mean, there's
only like
3-1.
Yeah, it's game 5. Even if it goes game 7, there's only 3 games left. So it's not much, but dude, the Lakers are -7 tonight. Tonight, as in Thursday, the 8th. They're -7. I think they put it away tonight. I'm taking Lakers -7 just because LeBron's, he's foaming at the mouth. He's right there. Yeah. He can taste it.
Yeah, he's a maniac.
And the Heat, when they won game 3 to make it 2-1, Jimmy Butler had an insane game. They were down Dragic. They were down Bam. And he was able to pull it out. He had a 40-point triple-double. And I said it. I thought he would do it game 1. Well, I said Jimmy Butler's going to have a game where he goes off, and it just happened to be game 3. And I think Bam played game 4, but it's just tough. I mean, you're playing LeBron
the thing
and AD. They're just the best duo.
They just didn't play well that game. Like the Lakers, honestly, the Lakers didn't really even play that well last game.
Yeah.
And they still ended up winning. So, I mean, the thing is, dude, is like LeBron said, like, he's not sleeping. Like, he's texting people like 3 a.m, like, keep your fucking mind on the game. Like,
you better be dreaming about the game.
Yeah. Like, yeah. LeBron smells blood and he's coming. And
exactly.
There's just no.
And we talked about it. We talked about it. It's like the Lakers, they just have the best setup. They're able to shuffle guys in and out and keep LeBron fresh. LeBron's sitting, AD and Dwight Howard are out there, murking people. You still got Caruso. You got Kyle Kuzma.
KCP,
you got
played
KCP.
Great
You got JaVale McGee if you need to rest Dwight Howard and an AD. You still got JaVale McGee to get the boards. And so it's like they can just shuffle people out, keep them fresh. They don't have to they don't have to leave AD and LeBron out there for fucking 55 minutes or whatever it is, or 48 minutes. Like, you don't have to do that because you still have reliable guys on the bench that can come off and sit in for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, and which is actually like 10 or 15 when you count all the fucking whistles and fouls and stuff. So you could give them a break and let them rest.
Yeah, and if you get that timing down and you get people going, that's when the Lakers are really going to separate themselves. KCP comes off the bench and scores 18, and you got Caruso that scores like 10, and like all those dudes. If you get the Lakers bench going, like, then that's where Miami gets just absolutely killed.
I mean, this is after the series, if Lakers end up winning the series, whether it be tonight or game 6 or game 7, where will this title hold? Where will it hold? Like, how will it hold value in terms of the debate of, Jordan, LeBron, even though I know titles don't necessarily make that debate final, but I mean, people are going to say that this is a soft title. People are going to say that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it. I think I did at first think that this would be a soft title, an asterisk season, which it is an asterisk season. But like, I think it's because it's like you go out and play pickup basketball. Like, I know it's not the same, but you go out and play pickup basketball. Like, if you're like, hey, let's put fucking money on the line or something. Let's put something on the line. Like, you're going to play to win it. This is still on the line. Like, they're still playing tough ball. Like, they're still going at it. And so I don't think it's as tough or as easy as people really necessarily thought. And especially myself, like going into when they started the bubble, I didn't know if I thought it'd be tough. But now having watched the playoffs, I don't think the first round of the playoffs was that tough. I think people were like, all right, we're either going to win it or we're not. And then I think it really started to pick up in the conference finals or conference semifinals, where it's like we're right there. If we get to the next round, then we're there. Like then it matters.
Yeah.
But if you don't, then it doesn't matter.
I mean, it's not like if you give the Lakers, I'll put it this way: if you give the Lakers an asterisk, then you got to go back and give Golden State an asterisk when LeBron played with Dellavedova in that Cleveland team, who was trash. I mean, bro, like Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love both got hurt. They didn't play any of that series, and like, you know,
that's true. I mean, yeah,
like
that is
if
true.
you want to go back and talk about injuries and easy roads and like crazy stuff that happened, then yeah, but
there's always something for
it's not their
each
fault.
year.
Like
every
it's
few
not
years.
LeBron's fault. It's not the Lakers' fault. Dude, like the Miami Heat is a legit team. They won those games. Like, yeah, it sucks that the Bucks choked. Like,
Or does it?
You know,
Which
or
I
whatever.
think, you know what? Let's do a little prediction here. I think Giannis ends up going to the Heat.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be scary.
That would be insane. But you know, next year, if he went to the Heat, let's just say he does, that would be insane next year. You got the Heat with Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, and Giannis, and then you got the Nets with Kyrie, KD. That's all I could think of from the Nets.
Jared Allen.
Like that's a tough East, and then you still got Boston, who's probably going to get better. I mean, they usually are pretty tough.
They're
each
always
year.
a solid team.
And Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're all going to get better. Marcus Smart, they're all going to get better. So if Giannis goes down to the Heat, that could make the East real interesting. And you know, another thing too is people always were like, "Oh, LeBron, let's see you do it out of the West." Like, "Oh, you can't do that in the West." Well, he's doing it. He's doing it out of the West. I mean,
well, I think the big thing is like, especially if you know how we started this about legacy, is like, you know, he's gonna win three championships with three different teams. You know, this will be his fourth, but three with three teams, and no, I don't think anyone's ever done that or even come close to that. Like, I mean, there's been a couple dudes that, well, like Robert Horry, you know, kind of had the. You know, he won them with two teams, but it was, you know, like the luckiest dude to ever freaking live, get 7 titles out of that deal. But,
yeah.
You know,
Keep going.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we might as well wrap up and start doing our picks.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot. There's really not much. I mean, there wasn't. I mean, the most tumultuous part of the weekend was OU and Texas losing. I mean. That was a great weekend, and Dallas Cowboys. But let's get into our picks. Like I said earlier, I'm going to take number 22 Texas at OU. That's still down. They're doing it in the Cotton Bowl. And Texas is plus 2.5. I'm going to take Texas. I think they win that game outright. I don't think OU is good. I think because it's such a bad year, I think not only will they have a back-to-back loss, but they'll have back-to-back losses. And then moving on, another college game. I'm going to take number 4 Florida minus 6.5 against Texas A&M. Florida. I mean, like we said, Florida's just they're running on a different. They're on a different gear this year. That offense is really good. And Texas A&M, they're decent. They got a good defense. They have a pretty stacked defense, but they're coming off a hard loss against Bama. I mean, when you play, not unexpected. I just think Florida's just on a different level. They're on a different gear. So Florida, minus 6.5 at Texas A&M. I'm going to take Carolina Panthers plus 2 at the Atlanta Falcons. I don't necessarily want to do it, but the Falcons are who we thought they were. They're a bad team. They're trash. So I'm going to take Carolina plus 2 at the Atlanta Falcons. And then I'm going to take Tampa Bay Buccaneers minus 3 at Chicago. I wanted to ride with Chicago early on in the season. I wanted to ride with Mitch, but since that's not happening and Tom Brady is starting, he's getting into the groove of things. I think Tampa Bay is able to cover that minus 3 at Chicago. And then I'm taking the Lakers minus 7 tonight, and I think they close it out and they're able to raise that title. And we'll see some confetti dropping tonight.
Yeah. I completely agree with the majority of your list because I picked 5 games and 3 of them are the exact same.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just
honestly,
like we said,
we don't share our picks before the games. We don't.
I have no idea.
We just pick our games and we announce them here on the show. So that's funny. Let's see what you got.
So I'll get the boring ones out of the way anyway. Is I'm taking Florida obviously against Texas A&M. That offense, the whole spiel. The Lakers, they're just too good. I mean, that's easy pick. And then the other pick I had similar was Buccaneers.
Okay.
Taking the Buccaneers, Tom Brady, and especially with the Bears kind of being in turmoil a little bit of like risky and that whole kind of thing. And then one of my surprising picks is I'm going to take Kansas State plus 8.5 versus TCU.
Okay.
Is
interesting.
I'm rocking with the K-State. The K-State's been doing me well this year.
Yeah.
They had that huge upset. TCU coming off a huge win against Texas. I don't think TCU's that good. Just like, Texas Tech. Sorry, Bach. But, it's one of those things of like,
oh shit.
I'm just not a big believer in TCU right now. Like maybe they might be, but they just did not look good. So I'll take K-State plus 8.5. And then my real wild card pick, which is kind of even hard to explain. I'm taking Tulane plus 6.5 versus Houston.
All right. And this is Houston's first game.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm taking it.
I see why you're doing it.
Tulane has played pretty well. Like, they struggled against a team that was bad, and then they did pretty well against a team that was decent, and then they blew out of the water some team that was bad. And Houston this is their first game of the year. It's super weird, super wild. Like
they played, let's see. They played against USA. So I think that's University of South Alabama. They come on, internet. They beat them 27-24. Then they lost to Navy.
Barely. They barely lost.
27-24. That was a game that Navy had that 27 unanswered points or whatever in the second half.
Yeah, they should have won that game.
Yeah, they should have won that game. And then they played USM. They won 66-24.
Yeah, so then they blew that team out of the water. So Tulane at least has got experience. They're like rolling, and Houston's got to come out cold turkey. Like, it's a wild pick, but I don't think that. I see the theory behind that one. Yeah,
so.
I always got to throw a wild one on there. Throw a little sauce on the little spreadsheet.
So you're taking. We're both riding Florida Lakers and Tampa Bay Bucks, right? We're both riding that, and then you said you got Tulane and K-State.
Yep.
All right, and so I got, obviously I said Florida minus 6.5, Lakers minus 7, Tampa Bay Bucks minus 3, and I'm taking Texas plus 2.5 against the Boomer Sooners, and I'm taking Carolina plus 2 at the old let's drop every fucking 20-point lead that we have, Atlanta Falcons. That's it. That's the show. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Bake is here for myself, at Jake Cart for Jake, and at Jake and Bake Show for the show channel, YouTube. But also be sure to follow or subscribe on YouTube and follow on whatever platform it is you listen to, whether it be like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or something. It really does help. Like and comment. It really does help. Share it. It really does help us, and it means a lot to us. So thank you for that. And be sure to stick around next week. We'll try to have a guest back on. I got something in mind. We'll see if we can make it happen and have a fun week next week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a good one. Jake, see ya.
See ya.